Good morning. We are on, so once you start turning on your Facebook, be sure and comment to us. Let me know who's there. I'm going to bet I might see Emily first. Emily always logs on pretty fast, so let's see who I see, or maybe Alicia might be logging on first. I'll have to look back up what Emily's mom's name is. Haven't met them yet. So we'll watch for Alicia. So I'll see Sophia, maybe Casey.
Miss Clark.
Is Mrs. Clark logged on?
Or Auntie Jean.
Auntie Jean, Uncle Joey's Auntie Jean logged in yesterday. His Aunt Debbie logged in yesterday. So let's see who logs on. Be sure and comment. Let me know you're there. It's kind of fun. Otherwise, I'm talking to an empty studio here with Mr. Joey, who makes me laugh, and Mr. Mark's on the computer answering all your comments. So really helps if I know who's out there, and I can imagine in my mind that Sophia's sitting there with that pretty smile, or I know Bay's there, who might be laughing at me sometimes when I make a mistake on my checkerboard, or Casey might be out there making me feel nice and calm. Maybe I can imagine Isla and Flora, and they got little sister Clara now watching. So I think, did we see Sarah Elizabeth and her mom sign on? I just hung up the phone from another mom who had heard about us from one of you moms out there. And she's going to get an activity bag for her, I think for herself. I hope she gets one for herself. And Olivia and Ella. And so her 5-year-old would be the new baby sister that I met a long time ago. So it's kind of fun for Miss Ginny here. Otherwise, nobody's doing artwork with me in here. I have to imagine you all doing it at home. So, and I love seeing your posts. Olivia, your mom, Michelle, is awesome at posting your work. I always get to see your work, and Mia and Evie, your mom, is really good at posting your work. I love to see them.
Gabriella's on.
Gabriella's here. This is another one. I love your name, Gabriella. That's so pretty, and I'm anxious to meet you. Someday we'll be able to have class or summer camp again. Nick, are you on? Hi, Nick. It makes me feel better. Nick's usually here every Tuesday for a homeschool class we do, so it's kind of nice. Makes it feel a little more normal if I can pretend I'm talking to somebody who's usually here with me. And Nick's always really sweet. He never laughs at how my stuff turns out. Mr. Joey said my tree, and I have to kind of admit, when I looked at our porthole scene yesterday, looking into a snowy city, my pine tree did look a little bit raggedy.
Hey, Finley and Anna.
Hi, Finley and Anna. So is Bay there too? And let's see, who else is with you guys? Anna, Finley, Bay.
That's it.
No Harper this week, huh?
Harper's doing it elsewhere.
No Madison. Yeah, we didn't have Madison this week, did we? Okay. Hi, Bay. This will be cute whenever I see Bay again. Bay started here, I think you were 4, right, Bay? Bay's been coming to the studio, I think, almost since our beginning. And she used to be really, really tiny. And I think she's probably taller than me now. Can't remember whether you were taller than me last time you were in here. Bay was doing a wheel class that we were teaching for our 4th graders and older kids. We had a wheel class going. Bay was making some really pretty pots on the wheel. So was Spencer and Olivia and Rihanna. And who was our other, Lila. We had a lot of kids back there throwing pottery, so can't remember if you were taller than me yet, Bay. I know by the time I see you again, you will have grown a foot. So hopefully, we're still crossing our fingers. Maybe later in the summer, maybe we'll have July and August summer camps. So we'll cross our fingers. If everybody's being really good and staying home and staying inside your house or on your patio and not going places with a bunch of people, maybe we'll be back to seeing each other sooner than later.
Harper's at her mom's office.
Oh, Harper went to work with Mom. Well, hi, Harper, if you're tuned in. we'll see how you do. Well, this is our project we're doing today. Can they see this, Joey? We're doing something just a little goofy and a little silly today. I figured we've been doing some really awesome artwork, and we're going to talk a little bit about how you actually draw a tree and how we make it look like a tree, and where it's fatter and skinnier, and how the ends of a tree get skinnier and skinnier till they almost meet as a little twig. And we're going to talk about birds, and we're going to talk about drawing like a caricature. See, we're having vocabulary again. We're going to do some caricatures today. So instead of our birds looking like a real bird, we're going to take some of the features of the bird, like their eyes or their little round plump bodies, and we're going to exaggerate them a little bit. And we're going to make ourselves a very goofy picture. So if you are logging on and you have an activity bag, you want to get out your piece of paper that says Thursday up in the corner of it. And I used my oil pastels that we used yesterday. Was yesterday when we did oil pastels? No, day before. So I colored mine with some oil pastels. If you're at home and don't have an activity bag and want to follow along with us, find some crayons. You can use crayons. Or I pulled out my granddaughter's markers here. So any kind of markers, anything to give some color. Okay, so if you're at home and found us to watch us and want to draw some goofy caricatures with us today, find some crayons or some markers. If you got a Sharpie, we're going to kind of outline our caricatures so the outlines kind of pop and we can see them, and then we'll add some color to them. We're going to draw with our pencil, an eraser, just so you can get them plotted in where you want in case you want to move them around, or in case you discover you drew these guys and you wish you had room to draw a really big one. So we'll put everything on with our pencil and eraser, and then we'll put some Sharpie lines on there so they really pop with the color. So how are we doing? We got people logged in? Give us a few more minutes here. Yep. We'll give us a couple more minutes while we see if everybody's logged on. Oh, have we seen Julietta and Joaquin and Julian log in? It's a new family that joined us this week. And their mom picked up their bags. And I was wondering if they joined us. Have we seen... And they might be doing this later in the evening. Lots of you guys I know have some online classes for school, and sometimes you have to be doing those at certain times during the day. And you can pull our video up and watch it anytime during the day. Do we have the Cole family logged on yet? Andy and Carly, and their mom picked up bags for Andy and Carly and two more. Olivia and Madison, I think. So I don't know if we see them yet. Have we seen Sloan and Alex and Charlotte? La France family logged on. Joey's not answering me at all, so I guess oh, Joey can't see. We have to learn from Mr. Mark with the computer whether they've logged on yet or not. Do we see Isla and Flora and Clara logged on? That would be the McMacken family, or the Wyatt family with Quinn and Reagan and Peyton. So we may see these families log on in a little while. So what we're going to do is, if you've got your paper, get the one that says Thursday up in the corner. I think we're going to use this one as a horizontal today, so we can get a nice long tree limb on here and get a whole family of birds. So I'm going to let Mr. Joey move in, but wait a minute, before you move in, Mr. Joey, let's look at our picture up here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 birds on here. It's probably about on our piece of paper what you're going to fit. If we draw the birds too tiny, it's a little hard with the oil pastels or markers or crayons to get any color on them, and the color looks kind of fun. Joey told me that these reminded him of, what were they called? Angry Birds, which I've never seen before. So coincidence that we look like Angry Birds, but we're not angry, we're happy birds. So they might remind you of the Angry Birds, but we're going to make them happy birds. we're going to look at maybe doing a caricature, because every bird you see out there aren't the same shapes in real life. We've got some long skinny birds. We've got some birds that have little oval bodies and really long necks, like the egrets or the herons. So we could make some, maybe I'll draw one that's got a little round body and a really long neck that'll have eyeballs up here. That would be kind of cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all these different shaped birds we see, like the little fat Carolina wrens, or the really long-necked herons, or we get some birds that have really long beaks, like a parrot, or we get an owl that almost has a big rectangular body. So we're going to take all these different bird shapes, and we're going to even make up some of our own. They don't have to be a certain kind of bird. And we're going to kind of exaggerate parts of them. So I got this really fat bird in the middle here. I got a long skinny bird. I got some birds that are almost more like a triangle shape. I just made up some shapes. I wanted some fun shapes that I like. And then we're going to exaggerate, because most birds, unless they're an owl, don't have eyes this big. But I think they're kind of cute. Have you noticed that some of my birds are looking up, some of them are looking down, some of them are looking cross-eyed? So we can make our birds look however we want. I gave some of my birds a few little feathers on top of their heads. Some of them have short wings, some of them have long wings. Some of them have little bitty curlicue wings, like this guy on the end. Some of them are standing straight up on my limb. Some of them look like they're about to do the splits here. This guy looks like he's about to topple over because this foot didn't even reach. So we can think about making them in all kinds of different shapes, okay? So I'm going to have Joey move the camera in. I'm going to get set up to draw here so you can draw with me. And we're actually going to start with the tree limb. So we'll talk a little bit about making a tree. I'm going to move these things out of the way so we have some more space. There we go. And I'm going to put my oil pastels over here. And I'm going to turn this so you guys can see. Hopefully I'll do better. I think I'm going to blame my kind of raggedy looking tree on the fact I was drawing sideways yesterday. So I'll try not to be raggedy today. And we're going to move our sample birds down so you can see them while we draw. And we'll put them, is that good, Mr. Joey?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll put our sample birds there to look at. We're going to save our Sharpie until we sketch in some of our birds. And we're going to start with this tree here. Now, one thing to always remember when you're drawing a tree is from the bottom of the tree that's stuck in the ground with its roots to the very tippy top, a tree always gets a little skinnier as it goes up. Even a palm tree that looks like it's the same size all the way up, it's slightly bigger at the bottom and slightly smaller at the top. And if you have a limb go off the tree, the limb's always smaller than where it went off the tree. See my tree here? Look at this limb. It starts this wide here, and it gets a little skinnier and a little skinnier and a little skinnier and a little skinnier. And I took it right off the paper so we can imagine that we have a whole flock of birds on the other end of this limb. Now, I had one limb go off it down here. See how big the limb is right here? It's not bigger than where it came off the tree trunk. So I can't draw a limb and then make this limb this fat, because that wouldn't look like a tree. And we got a caricature here, but with a caricature, it's exaggerating the actual look of something. Sometimes if you look at pictures that are anime, or there's all kinds of words for anime, that's the only one I know, where sometimes the people have like really long legs compared to their body, or they get those really big eyes. They're just taking one feature and accenting it, making it the most obvious. But on our tree here, we want it to look like a tree, so we know our birds aren't sitting on a fence post, which they could have been. And I gave a few little leaves out here on our tiny little twig that's going off of our tree trunk. So I'm going to start by putting this top line of my tree in. And did you notice it's not going horizontal? We put it on a little bit of a diagonal. Just makes it a little more interesting. Also makes it make sense that our birds might have trouble balancing. They're wanting to lean over. So I'm going to go not quite halfway up on the side of my paper here, and I'm going to draw a line And tell you what, I'm going to draw with my Sharpie. You go right ahead and draw with your pencil. If you want to be able to shift things around or you're not certain what size you want to make your birds, you've got plenty of time to trace over those lines with your Sharpie. I'm going to use the Sharpie so you guys can see easier. So I'm going to draw this top line of my tree trunk here. And we're just going to make it go as a big diagonal. Now, since it's a tree limb, and I know tree limbs aren't perfectly straight, if my line gets a little wiggly, a little jaggedy as it goes across, kind of looks more like a tree limb. If it was straight as a ruler, it would be an awful perfect tree. Not too many things in nature are perfect. Okay, so we got a nice top of a tree limb going across there. Kind of looks like we're going uphill. Leave yourself a little space. I'll have to put a really little guy over here. If we want to put a little guy on the end, you want to not go too far up. But if you're way up here, that's okay, because we'll just put our birds where they fit. We don't have to put 5 birds. We could just put 3 birds on there. So if your tree limb goes way up near the top, don't worry about it. We just won't put any birds up there. Or we could put a little wee tiny bird, although that'll make it a little hard to get some color on it. If you don't like where your line went and you used your pencil, just erase it and we can make our line go a little lower so you have space here. Okay? Now we want to make our tree limb big enough back here because we still want it to have enough width to it that our birds can sit on it. So I'm going to start and make a nice big space between my line. And I'm going to start down here. And I'm going to follow that same line going up. I'm going to get a little closer as I go. When you get about halfway across the paper, stop. Or we could go a little further because we're going to put another little limb down here. I think that makes our drawing a little more interesting. We get this nice angle going this way. Then we get this nice angle going this way. And then our birds are going this way, but some go up and some go down and some go over. This wing goes up this way, so we get lots of angles in our picture. So let's go a little further. I'm still getting closer to this line. See how I'm getting skinnier as I go? We're going to go just a little further, and then I'm going to make this bottom line go right down and off my paper over here. I don't want it to go straight down here. That'll look like my twig got broken off the tree. So I'm going to go on an angle this way, like I'm going downhill. And I'm going to go right to the edge of my paper. Right now it looks like we got a mountain going here. Now I'm going to make the other side of this twig, this side of the twig, by starting out here where I'm almost touching this. I wish I was left-handed. Think I can draw this with my left hand? Let's try it. You ever tried to write with your other hand that you don't usually? We're going to start real close to this line. And we're going to make it stay pretty skinny. I'm going to get just a little wider, but I'm going to stay pretty skinny because this is a twig coming off this tree. Oh, look at that. I drew with my left hand. There we go. That's not too bad, is it? Okay. I think I can do it for the rest of, we need to finish off this. When we came back with our little twig, see, it's a lot skinnier than the tree, than the limb it came off of. So I'm going to come, and remember now when I make the other side of this limb, I want to get a little closer. I'm not going to make this limb get this skinny. I'm just going to let it get a little closer as it goes over there. Actually, drawing with your other hand makes it just a little less perfect of a straight line, which kind of looks like a good tree. I added some leaves. When you get out to the little tiny twigs on a tree, that's where you see lots of leaves. So we can put a few little leaves here. Leaves I can't draw with my left hand. We could put a curve here and make a point from the other end and make another curve. Maybe I'll just leave those 3 leaves. We can always go back and add more leaves. Now, one thing that makes a tree look like a tree is to give it that look of bark on it. And an easy way to make barks, because you see a little of the wood grain in the tree, the lines that make the wood grain in the tree, the lines always go in the direction the limb's growing. So if we put lines on this little one, they're going to go this direction. Lines on this one are going to go this direction. And a nice way to do it is we don't want to fill up the whole tree with lines, but think of putting little trios of lines on different lengths. So think of putting lines on in threes. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3. Put 3 little lines close together. They want to go the same direction as the limb. Make some really little ones, a little bit longer and a little bit longer, and put them really close together. So we could put some more here. We want to go in the same direction as the limb. So I could add some more lines over here. Maybe go up here and add a few more in here. And maybe a couple over here. Kind of makes it look like it has a little bit of wood grain, right? This limb I could put maybe a little bit right here at the beginning. But it's a pretty skinny limb, so I won't go with any more. Maybe put a few up here. These could be shorter, since it's a little further away from our viewpoint. Here's what's closest to us here. Now, I put a little knot in this tree. I like drawing little knots on wood grain when I'm making it. To make a knot in the tree, you want to draw a very, 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 very skinny little oval. We want to make it really small, so I'm going to put a knot in the tree right here. Just going to make a skinny little oval and color it in. And then we want to add the look of some wood grain around the knot in our tree. But what we want to do is copy the curve of the knot. Almost like making a letter J. We'll go right around the knot like that. And then underneath that we'll put another one that's a little smaller, and underneath that put another one that's a little smaller. Your trees are starting to look like trees. I don't like my tree. It's a nice, hefty, fat tree here. So it should be able to hold a lot of birds down here. Now, I'm going to try, and I'm going to put my bird with the long skinny neck down here at the fattest part of the tree, because that's got the most height of my paper here. And every bird that we draw, this bird is so fat that his little belly is touching my limb right there.
You need to see the bird she's pointing at.
Okay, I'm going to move this, make sure you can see my birds. Could you not see my birds, Mr. Joey?
No, Dad's.
Oh,
It's fine.
Mr. Mark was confusing me.
He forgot there's a delay on his computer.
Okay. This big fat bird here, his little belly's touching my limb, isn't it? So he's almost doing the splits trying to hold on. But most of the birds, we're going to draw their body. So it's just a little above the limb, and that lets us put some legs on. So that it looks like they're standing there holding on to this limb. They took a break from flying around. So I'm going to try drawing a bird over here that'll be like a caricature of my heron. Which means I'm going to turn my paper for just a second so I can see what I'm going to do. And let's see. You guys watch me for a minute. We'll see how this turns out. Maybe I'll use my pencil. It got me nervous that I'm going to make a raggedy bird since I made a raggedy tree yesterday. So I'm going to use my pencil just in case it looks raggedy and we can fix it so I like it. You always want to like your artwork. Usually you're your worst critic. So if you draw something you don't like, even though it will look awesome, because anything you draw looks awesome. Art is awesome no matter what it looks like. But if you don't like it, then that's hard. So we want to make sure you like how it looks. So I'm going to put a little body on here and maybe put a really long neck with a little head up here. And we'll give him some big old eyes and his little beak here. Okay, I know you guys can't see that because I drew really lightly, so it'll make it easier for me to erase those pencil marks. But here I'm going to put a bird, and I'm going to make his body be kind of like a triangle shape, and he's going to get this really long neck. And I'm going to give him a little head, but I'm going to put his beak on so it sticks out. Here's my bird, and I'm going to give him some nice big eyes. And I'm going to make him look cross-eyed, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to hold on? We'll give him a few little feathers up here, and we'll give him a wing that's sticking out here. Maybe we'll have a, maybe he's really struggling to hold on. Maybe we'll have this. We're going to give him 3 toenails. Maybe this is the only foot that's managing to hold on. Does he look like he's about to wobble and fall off? I kind of like him. I'll make his wing come back here a little bit. Oh, Joey wants me to put wings on this one too. Okay. Okay, you can draw whatever kinds of shapes of birds you like. Because I'm going to come along here. I've got one bird on here. And maybe now next to him I'm going to put a short little fat bird. Like this. So that his legs are sticking out to the side. And we're going to give him 3 little curls for their toenails hanging on here. And he needs some wings. So we'll give him some wings that are just going to fold down on his sides. And always give him some really big eyes. We're going to make big eyes like big ovals. And maybe he's going to be looking down. So he's trying to hold on to the limb. And we need to give him a little beak. Beaks are like a little triangle. So we want to make sure each bird's got a little triangle for a beak. And 2 big ovals for eyes. And make your ovals bump up right next to each other. See how all of these ovals touch right in the middle or at the top? That gives them this really funny, goofy look.
I zoomed in, you can't see it.
Oh. Do I need to move this down?
I zoomed back out.
Okay. Okay, we got a long neck bird. I've got a big fat round bird. I kind of like this like little triangle bird. What do you think? I think he looks pretty cute. Not all birds' wings need to stick out. I like this little guy. He's kind of holding his wings in. So maybe we'll put a triangle bird next to here. So remember, you want to leave yourself a little space. Draw in whatever shaped body you want your bird to have. Okay, I'm going to give him 2 big oval eyeballs up at the top. What was that?
Male guy.
Oh, he needs his beak, right? So put a little triangle. Always give them a triangle. And should we give him some wings? I said I kind of like these wings holding on from the side, so maybe this guy will have some wings holding on from the side. Now, do you see how, since I'm drawing with a Sharpie first so you can see my lines easier, when I drew his body first, and now I have a line going through his wing, kind of like this guy. I drew these guys with pencil first. But since I have a line there, I could add a few more lines like that, and now my line doesn't look like the body's going through the wing. It just looks like he's got stripes in his wing. And maybe we'll make this guy look like he's about to fall over. We'll give him a leg. Holding on, and this leg is precariously teetering that way. They look like an odd family of birds, don't they? Maybe they all found each other when they had to shelter in and stay at home. And they all happen to be on this one tree, so they're stuck together in quarantine. And they're watching for when they get to go fly and visit somebody else. I've got 1, 2, 3 birds on here. I could probably fit a couple more birds over there. How are you guys drawing your birds? Are we getting some birds on your limbs? Go ahead and fill up your limb with birds. And then use your Sharpie to go over your pencil lines. And once your Sharpie, always give your Sharpie like a minute to dry. But you can go in and erase your pencil lines then. I'm going to erase my pencil lines that were on my little long-necked bird here. Okay. So put a comment on, give us a thumbs up if you're getting your birds filled in on your tree limb. Do you think I should put one more on the end over there? Okay.
Tiny one.
How about, I got a good idea. Oh.
2 turtle doves.
How about if we have a bird that fell down? This is a klutzy little bird. And his legs are going to be up in the air. And we'll put his wings out here. And give him 2 big eyeballs. And give him a beak. You like my crazy bird? He fell over. He was trying to land on the limb, and he was not paying attention to where he was going, and he fell down. I don't think that would really happen with a bird, but I kind of like him. What do you think?
You'd be surprised they fall a lot.
Mr. Joey had a good idea. You could do 2 tiny little birds, do 2 turtle doves facing each other. You can make your birds however you would like. What if I had a bird hanging upside down? Because I got 4 birds. I just can't leave 4 birds. It goes just against everything I was taught. You're supposed to have an odd number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is 4 an odd number? No. So I really have to add 1 more bird. Look at this. What if I put a long skinny bird, and he's going to be holding upside down to my little twig here. And his wings are going to be way up here. He's another klutzy bird. He fell off, and he's holding on for dear life. There we go. Now I have 5 birds. Very goofy birds. I bet these 2 are related. They kind of look like they're the same shaped bird, right? This guy's just folded over when he bumped his head. So I think these 2 might be related, and they're not very good at flying. Maybe they're just babies and they're learning to fly. And now my big heron bird over here looks like he's going, oh my gosh, what have I gotten stuck with? A bunch of very weird birds here. Okay, use your Sharpie. Go over your lines. And then if you've got some crayons or some markers, or like I said, I used our chalk pastels from yesterday. And it's really cool because you get some really nice blends of color. This is a good way to see which colors go together well. These are our oil pastels. Did I not say that?
You said chalk.
Oh, yeah. We don't have chalk yet in your activity bags. We're searching for a reasonable way to send you some chalk pastels. So far, we haven't found any reasonable way. But I love that you have your own set of oil pastels here. And we can use them to give color. They give some really bright, pretty color. So think of picking 2 colors out of your little set here that might go nicely for your bird together. I think they look kind of cool with 2 colors on them. You'll learn which colors go nicely together. Think of colors that go together on the color wheel here. We'll put our color wheel down here. Can we see if we put it right here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So see how yellow and green go nicely together. Or you could do green and blue together. I didn't do green and blue together. I did blue and purple together. Here's the dark green and yellow together. I did the red and orange together. And red and pink, because pink isn't on your color wheel, but pink is red with a little bit of white in it. If we do colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel, you might end up with some brown in your bird. If we did some green with red, is this my red? Green and red are opposite each other on the color wheel, right? So I'll show you what will happen. If we use a little bit of green, so I'll color some green in on his body here. And then I give him some red up near his head here. Put a little bit in there. A little bit in between his eyes there. Okay, he looks like a Christmas bird right now, or Italy's flag, green, white, red. Look what happens if we blend our red into our green. Kind of getting a brown color. Bring some green up into the red part. So this bird now has like a brown belly to him. Typically, if you use 2 colors opposite each other on the color wheel, you're going to get brown. Which some birds have brown if they're mom birds, right? Mom birds are usually in kind of brown gray colors so they can stay hidden in the tree branches with their nests. So we'll say this is a mom goofy bird. There we go. Now you notice I gave all my birds some black beaks and I left just a little white showing on each beak like a reflection. So their beak looks, when you leave a reflection on something, it makes it look shiny and glossy, and beaks are usually glossy compared to all the feathers on their bodies. So I used black just because I used a lot of colors and I knew that orange wouldn't show up on my orange bird here for a beak. And I really didn't want to use my yellow and get all those colors on it. Did you notice with your oil pastels, when you blend, sometimes the end of your oil pastel gets all the color in it. So I used black on my beaks, which makes them kind of show up. I didn't put any color on their eyeballs because I just left the white of the paper. Okay? So, give your bird some cool colors. You could just use a color on part of it and use your white oil pastel too. They could be a white bird. So let's see if our klutzy bird over here, we'll put a little white with him. Oops, I had a little blue on my white. So we'll give him a little white color, which don't know if I really like. Doesn't look too interesting. If I bring the white into the pink and pull a little pink down there, it'll give him a little bit more color. But using the white makes him look a little washed out. So we're going to give him a little bit more pink on the top of his head. There we go. So maybe he's a little baby girl klutzy bird. So how are you guys doing? Are we getting some cool colored birds? I used the brown here on my tree limb, you can see. And I didn't color the whole tree limb in because I let little bits of the white show. Because if you look at a tree, it's never just one solid plain color. You see lots of shades. So I've just left some of my white paper showing with my tree limb. And then I took a little bit of black and just on the bottom side of the tree limb, I put a little bit of black, so it gave it a little bit of shadow, made it look a little three-dimensional. Remember with our snowman yesterday, how we left a little more black paper on one side of it than the other side, so it looked more three-dimensional? When you have a shadow on something, it'll just be on one side, and the other side will be lighter. So I have my brown on here, left a little bit of white, just put a little black along the bottom side. Put a little black on the bottom side of the little twig too, and a little black on the bottom side over here. So fill in your birds. Don't forget to give them some color on their beaks. Don't know what to color my big long skinny bird there, but you guys get your birds colored. Put some color on your tree limb. I used the two shades. We've got two different shades of green in here for leaves, because leaves are never just one shade of green either. We could even put a little bit of brown in our leaf. If we wanted to, I could put a little brown down here. That looks kind of cool. Gives them a little bit more three-dimension. I got a nice big red and brown and green bird. I got a little pink bird, green and yellow. That would make a really cool combination for a bird. Which one? Maybe the long skinny neck bird over here. Okay, we'll give him a little, my green's got a little bit of brown stuck on it from when I was coloring this way. So if you were being really particular, see, I think all the different shades are kind of cool. It makes it more realistic. You can always look at your oil pastel before you use it, and if you need to wipe, color it off on a clean piece of paper, if you want to make sure you don't get any other color on it, because the oil pastels pick up the other colors that they're near when you're drawing with them. Okay, we'll put a little green on the back of his neck maybe. And let's make him a green and yellow bird. So we're going to put some yellow in here. And I like taking the yellow and color it right down onto the green. And then go right up the top. So you don't have to just color right next to each other. The oil pastels, see how cool they blend together? So go right over it with the other color. We'll go right up his neck like this. We'll give him a yellow head. And don't forget, if you gave some hair on the top of some feathers, I guess they would be feathers on a bird. If you gave him some feathers on the top of his head, put a little color up there with your Sharpie line for his feathers. I didn't get any feathers on the top of the rest of these guys. Let's give this guy a nice big feathery head. He'll have like a mohawk. We'll give him just a few little ones. And this one's hair will be hanging straight down like this, or feathers. This guy, maybe we'll give this one some curls. There you go. We got curly feathers. So I'm going to go back here on this little guy and give him some red feathers on the top. And should we give the curly, klutzy little girl bird here some pink feathers on the top of her head? Okay. So you guys keep coloring, fill all in. I'm going to prop these back up here for you to look at. And, well, Mr. Joey wants me to finish coloring. Are you guys still coloring? I'm betting you're still coloring, right? Okay. Let's take a little bit of brown here. See, what's cool is if you went over your birds with your Sharpie, their legs are already colored in. Their eyes are ready to go. We're going to put a little bit of color around our knot here. And put some brown coming right up the middle of this tree. And see, what's really cool is I don't have to worry when we did our watercolor resist. You know how you wanted to get everything colored in so no white of the paper showed like this? But see, when we're using the oil pastels just for color on our picture, actually not pressing so hard and having a little of the white paper show through makes it look like nice rough bark here, doesn't it? So we don't have to press quite so hard. You don't have to keep coloring over an area quite so much. We don't have to worry with our tree here about getting every part of it colored in. Some parts are nice to get a little bit more solid than other parts. So we'll go right up here with this tree limb. Now, my crayon, my oil pastel is getting kind of down to the nub here. But this nice paper coating, which is good to keep on, don't tear the whole paper off, because oil pastel will get on your hands and make a mess. But you can tear just a little of this paper off near the top like this. If your oil pastel was getting low, there we go. So just tear a little of the paper off, and that still leaves you a place to hold on to the oil pastel without getting it all over your hands. So we'll give this tree limb a little color here, and right up here where baby bird fell on her head. And I can put that back in here, and I can use a little of my black. Remember how we put a little shadow just on the bottom side of the limb? So we'll come in here and give it a little bit of shadow. You don't have to color it in solid. See how I don't have a solid edge to it here? We'll just put a little bit in some places. When we turn the corner and come down here, we'll put just a little bit on there. Then I'm gonna skip over to here and put a little bit on here. That makes my tree look a little more three-dimensional. You could use a couple shades. Do your leaves have to be green? Maybe this could be a fall scene. Maybe we'll give it some orange leaves. Orange and red leaves and yellow leaves. We'll pretend that it's fall. And the virus is all done, and we were all good, and everybody stayed inside, and life is back to normal. So we'll put a little red on our leaves too. Oh, those leaves look pretty, like my fall leaves. Okay. You don't have to make fall leaves. You can use your shades of brown. I mean, yeah, you could make brown leaves. You could use your shades of green, use your dark green, use your light green. You could use your dark green and even put a little bit of black with the green and make it a really dark green. Anybody got a good idea what color my other two birds should be? Should we make a blue bird? What color would go nicely with blue? Blue sits right here, so I could make a blue and green bird, or I could make a blue and purple bird. I did a blue and purple bird up here, so maybe we'll make a blue and green bird. So I'll put some blue on the bottom of him. And we'll put some blue out here on the edges of his wings. And let's see, green. Should I use the light green or the dark green? I think the dark green. What do you think? No, Mr. Joey's voting for the light green. Okay, so I'm going to use my light green, and we'll see what kind of pretty colors we get in between here. Should get some nice, like, tealy looking colors in there with the blue. Oh, that looks kind of nice together. I can go all the way up in the blue with my green and go right up here and color some green right over the top of my blue. And then color it right down to his body here. That looks kind of cool. I like his wings. So see, you can watch, I can experiment, and then if you don't like what it looks like, you'll know, oh, Miss Jenny did those colors, I don't want to do those colors. So it's kind of fun to let us, we can experiment on mine here while you're working on yours, and then you'll know what you like and what you don't like before you try it. Okay. Oh, I think this bird turned out cool. Oh, what color should we make his hair? Yellow? Mr. Joey wants yellow. Yellow feathers on the top of his head. Okay, we'll give him some yellow feathers on the top of his head. Okay. Let's color his beak in a little bit here. Leave a little bit of white on his beak. And got to color this guy's beak in too. And this guy. Okay. I have one bird not colored. Anybody got a vote for what color that bird should be? What about purple and pink? Purple and pink would be cool. Lots of kids in the studio here like purple and pink. So we'll give the edges of his wings some purple. We'll give his belly here some purple. We'll give the top of his head here some purple. We'll make his middle look pink, and that'll kind of... Oh, we'll give him some purple feathers on his mohawk here. And we'll take the pink, give him some nice pink color in here. Oh, I kind of like him. And look, you never know that I had a line going through his wings. There's always a way. If we make a line and we don't like it, there's always a way to do something with it. Okay. Cool. What am I missing? Anything I haven't done? This guy's beak. We'll give him a little color on his beak. There we go. And we have a whole new family of crazy birds. I'm going to let Mr. Joey pull our camera back out. We'll put both our crazy birds up here so you can see them. And let's see if I can stick this one up with this one. There we go. I got two families of crazy birds. They don't look too raggedy, do they? It turned out pretty good. Okay. Whoops, my color wheel is upside down. Okay. Raggedy Birds, I kind of like them. It should be one of those projects that you can look at them, finish coloring them today if you haven't finished, and then they will make you smile. If mom or dad or grandma is there at the house with you, or a babysitter or aunt or uncle, if they're having a stressful day and they're worrying about things, or if dad or mom are trying to work at home, which they don't usually do, so it's not the same setup as their office, and everything's just a little different to do right now. So if you've made a picture like this, go prop it by mom or dad's desk. They're working at home, or show it to grandma, and it will make them smile. You can't not smile if you look at that picture, right? They look pretty goofy. Do they look like they're having fun? I think I particularly like this guy who's trying to balance on one leg. Maybe he's doing a yoga pose. Don't you have to have really good balance if you do yoga sometimes, that you only have one foot down? Maybe that's what the baby bird over here was trying to do. Maybe she was trying to do a yoga pose and fell down totally. I think that might be what I would do. So show your picture to somebody to make them smile today. Mr. Mark has been working on a slideshow this week. He's learning all kinds of new technology since we're all shut in and we're broadcasting to you. He, I think, is putting together a slideshow of all the posts that we've seen of your work that you've been doing at home. Because remember, I don't get to see it. I sit down at the computer later in the afternoon and I try to pull up and see the posts. And I think Mr. Marcus figured out how to gather all those posts and put them into a slideshow that you'll be able to see on our Facebook page. I don't know whether we'll be able to make it work tomorrow or not, but you'll have to keep watching for that. Today is, what is today? Is it Thursday?
Give the Schroeder family a shout out.
Oh, and I want to give the Schroeder family a shout out. They're a family that discovered us or heard about us and went online last night. They didn't have activity bags, but I think the parents and the kids watched
Whole
us.
family.
Watched the whole family watched the video, and what did we do yesterday?
They did the dragonflies.
The dragon. Oh, they
yesterday.
pulled up the video of our dragonflies. Remember when we did the dragonflies with the oil pastels and the watercolor in the background? Well, they just used supplies they had at home. They found the video on Facebook page, and the whole family sat down together with the parents and the kids and drew dragonflies. And they gave us a nice shout out when they posted it on their Facebook page about having fun drawing dragonflies. So if you know families that don't have an activity bag, tell them to tune in anyway and find something at home. If you post your picture, be sure and tag us, this little @Idea Studio, and then watch tomorrow. I think Mr. Mark will have our slideshow up. We'll cross our fingers. We're trying all kinds of new things. He's trying to put together all kinds of things, so maybe we'll be able to take a poll and he'll have some questions up there for you so that you can vote for what's been your favorite project or what do you think was the hardest project, and that'll kind of help us know because we're going all the way through this whole month of April. We have some very cool projects coming up in the next weeks. When you pick up activity bags this Saturday, you're actually going to have some clay in them. We're going to do a clay project from here to your house. And then moms will bring it back the next Saturday when they pick up your new activity bag and we'll fire them. So that's going to be really cool. We've got canvases, like I mentioned yesterday. The next week after that, we're doing a painting at home, so you'll be painting right along with me. We've got some very cool watercolor pictures to do, so go on and order your bags. I saw some of you ordering yesterday. Don't forget, we have our big pottery jar, and everybody that ordered bags this week, your names are all in that big jar, and I'm going to draw a name out because someday, eventually, we will be able to come and have classes here in the studio again. We're hoping to maybe have some summer camps later in the summer. So classes or summer camps eventually when we can all go out and do something again. We're going to draw a name on Friday, and that'll give you a $25 credit towards a class or summer camp. So watch for us on Friday. We're going to draw a name, and go online and order your activity bags. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye.